Picking up from where the story left off, Xiao Yan encountered a third Star Do-D expert from the Corpse Demon clan along the way. After fully unleashing his Angry Buddha Lotus Flame, fused from 6 different heavenly flames, he managed to sever one of the opponent's arms and legs. Dark black blood continuously oozed from the man's severed limbs, mixing with the fresh blood flowing from his wounds, emitting a pungent stench that could be smelled from afar. "You little wretch! To think you could force me into such a pitiful state. Today, I must kill you to honor my demon clan." The man in black snarled at Xiao Yan, his grotesque face twisted in rage. Seeing the man in black's contorted face, Xiao Yan instinctively prepared to strike again. Despite the severe injuries, the aura emanating from the man was even stronger than before. Xiao Yan's years of battle experience told him that this meant the man was about to unleash his ultimate attack, even if it meant mutual destruction. "All dead souls, heed my command, offer your sacrifice." The man in black, with his remaining hand, pulled out a bag and shouted loudly. Suddenly, numerous soul entities began flying out of the bag, all soaring towards the sky. "Now, be consumed by the darkness." Ha ha ha. The man in black's already wretched body began to burn fiercely as he laughed. Xiao Yan sensed a destructive force from the man's actions, and his nearly completed attack had to be halted amidst the overwhelming demonic energy. One after another, dark auras slowly drifted up from where the man in black stood, rising into the sky to form a massive figure. The man's original face projected into the sky, forming a gigantic, malevolent image. Aside from the head, the colossal figure's entire body was covered in densely packed human heads. "Damn it! Master, what should I do now?" Xiao Yan asked in a deep voice. The situation before him had clearly surpassed his understanding, so he had no choice but to seek help from his mentor, the Golden Dragon King. It's the soul-controlled corpse technique of the Corpse Demon clan. The Golden Dragon King exclaimed in surprise from within the ring. "Don't worry about it just yet. Look at the spot on the ground where the man in black was standing. There are still faint shadows left behind. That means the souls he collected haven't fully merged into the demon shadow in the sky. Let's wait a bit longer." The Corpse Demon clan specializes in collecting souls and controlling corpse puppets, which actually works to your advantage. The Golden Dragon King chuckled. "Master, why don't we save those souls instead of letting them merge with the demon shadow?" "I'm afraid." Xiao Yan, unsure of the Golden Dragon King's true power, couldn't help but express his concern. "Saving them is not impossible, but from what I can tell, most of them have already been tainted by the demonic aura of the demon clan, and their consciousness may not even be fully intact. Besides, these souls know that even if they resist with all their might, they'll still be devoured. However, if you release them, wouldn't that be a great supplement for your own power?" The Golden Dragon King looked at Xiao Yan. "As for my strength, you needn't worry. At my peak, these small fries were nothing to me, and even now, in my soul form, they are hardly worth fearing." The Golden Dragon King exuded a powerful aura of authority. Although the Golden Dragon King is not an alchemist, his understanding of alchemy is not inferior to anyone else's. While enhancing one's soul power using souls is indeed cruel, it's better to free them from the demon clan's enslavement. They would be grateful to merge with you, Xiao Yan, since they were all once mighty warriors of the Great Thousand World. A world that has always been at odds with the demon clan. Collecting souls, huh? This is quite similar to the Soul Clan from the Do-Chi continent. Although their purposes differ, the method is still the same. Slaughtering countless beings to gather souls, Xiao Yan said as he watched the demon shadow in the sky grow stronger, with more and more souls drifting from the black smoke that the man in black had turned into and rising toward the sky. Among those souls, some were weak while others were strong, but they all merged into the demon shadow in the sky. Xiao Yan could see a glimmer of plea in their eyes, as if they were begging him to release them. They were all once powerful warriors of the Great Thousand World, and even in death, they were unwilling to serve the demon clan. When the last soul merged into the demon shadow in the sky, it emitted a terrifying, evil aura that caused the entire small space to tremble slightly. Xiao Yan stared at the gigantic demon shadow in the sky, silently weighed down by the situation. In the distance, Yue Yu had just recovered from the shock of the Angry Buddha Lotus Flame. She then witnessed the horrifying moment when the man in black transformed into the gigantic demon shadow. Her small hand involuntarily covered her slightly trembling lips as she murmured, "Are we going to die here today?" Beside her, Qing Yuan had clearly exhausted all her strength in her last soul attack and had fainted. Xiao Yi stood next to the two women, looking like a cute porcelain doll from afar. "Xiao Yi, Yue Yu, take care of Qing Yuan and move farther away. Trust me." Xiao Yan quickly called out to reassure them. Xiao Yi, being spiritually connected with Xiao Yan, naturally understood his intentions. She extended her soft, tiny hand, grabbed Yue Yu and Qing Yuan, and began retreating. She babbled on, as if telling Yue Yu, "Sister Yue Yu, don't worry. Master will handle it. We need to trust him." Yue Yu, seeing this, felt somewhat reassured and focused her gaze back on the slender man before her. "Master, now that the demon shadow has fully formed, what should we do next?" Xiao Yan asked after the demon shadow had completely taken shape, following his master's earlier advice. "Now, we need to subdue it," the Golden Dragon King said, his gaze fixed on the colossal demon shadow formed by numerous souls in the sky. The corpse demon clan's soul-controlling technique involves a formation point on the forehead of the corpse. This point is not easily detected by ordinary people, but it is its greatest weakness. The soul-controlling technique of the corpse demon clan is indeed nearly perfect, but after dealing with them for a long time, I have learned of this one flaw. The soul-controlling technique itself is a formation, with the formation's core forcefully binding all the souls together. If you can destroy the core, this demon shadow will collapse on its own, the Golden Dragon King explained to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan concentrated his soul power, trying to detect the so-called formation core on the demon shadow's forehead, but found nothing. It seems the formation core must be hidden. It will require a precise strike to reveal it, he thought. With a plan in mind, Xiao Yan began circulating his Do Qi throughout his body, surrounding himself with his heavenly flame, and launched a sudden attack toward the demon shadow. Although the evil aura emanating from this demon shadow was even stronger than that of the man in black earlier, reaching the level of a 4-star Do Di, the demon shadow was far too cumbersome and lacked any semblance of intelligence. It seemed more like a mindless war machine that only knew how to kill, which gave Xiao Yan the confidence to challenge it. The gigantic demon shadow in the sky continuously released waves of malevolent energy. Wherever it went in this small space, trees withered at an alarming rate, leaving not a single blade of grass in its wake. "Great heaven creation palm," Xiao Yan shouted as he rapidly closed in on the demon shadow, striking out with his palm. A massive imprint of an energy palm shot toward the demon shadow, with heavenly flames swirling around it, creating a sharp, cutting wind as it approached. Whoosh! The enormous demon shadow casually waved its hand, dispersing the energy palm imprint. However, the heavenly flame clung to the demon shadow's hand, its flames continuing to burn. Xiao Yan had deliberately attacked from the demon shadow's blind spot, fully aware that the great heaven creation palm, a high-tier Do technique, wouldn't inflict significant damage on a creature comparable to a 4-star Do Di. But he hadn't anticipated just how terrifying the demon shadow's defense and reflexes would be. The attack seemed to draw the demon shadow's attention. As it prepared to strike back at Xiao Yan, it realized that the heavenly flame on its arm was burning intensely. The demon shadow roared in pain, indicating that the flames had caused considerable damage. Yet, its clumsy form struggled to deal with the heavenly flame, forcing it to glare at Xiao Yan with such hatred that it seemed ready to devour him. "Master, the flames have attached to the demon shadow's arm. What should I do next?" Xiao Yan asked, recalling that his uncle, the Golden Dragon King, had told him to leave the rest to him once the heavenly flame was attached. "Leave the rest to me. Watch closely," the Golden Dragon King instructed. "Though your heavenly flame isn't a sacred flame, it is very close in nature. From what I can tell, your flame, like sacred flames, possesses extreme yang energy, which naturally suppresses dark beings like the demon clan," the Golden Dragon King explained, observing the interaction between the demon shadow and the flame. "Let me take control of your body temporarily," the Golden Dragon King said to Xiao Yan. Understanding his uncle's intentions, Xiao Yan did not resist, allowing the Golden Dragon King's soul to take control of his body. "Heh, it's been so many years since I last encountered a member of the Corpse Demon Clan," Xiao Yan spoke, though his voice now carried a slightly different tone. Completely unfazed by the enormous demon shadow before him, he stretched lazily, as an ancient and overwhelming aura began to awaken within him. The aura was vastly superior to that of the demon shadow, as different as the heavens and the earth. In the distance, Yu could no longer withstand the overwhelming evil aura emanating from the giant demon shadow and had fainted, but fortunately, Xiaoyi was there to care for her. "You were once all-powerful beings of the Great Thousand World, unfortunate victims of the demon clan, and now your souls are still being enslaved by them. Are you content with this? The harm that the extraterritorial evil clan has inflicted on the countless beings of the Great Thousand World is vivid in your memories. Yet you aid and abet their atrocities. Are you truly at peace with this? Does the dignity of a powerful being permit you to act in such a way?" Xiao Yan, now with a different demeanor, roared at the massive demon shadow in the sky, his aura and presence not at all inferior to that of the demon shadow. As Xiao Yan's powerful words echoed through the air, the enormous demon shadow that had been aggressively attacking him suddenly faltered. The demon shadow, originally formidable and covered with countless enslaved souls, began to resonate with Xiao Yan's words, as a stirring deep within their souls responded to his call. Xiao Yan's seemingly simple outburst was actually infused with immense soul power, directly reaching into the deepest parts of each enslaved soul, rekindling the last vestiges of their reason and the dignity of their former selves. Not content, a faint roar echoed from the numerous souls, as if they were shouting. The multitude of souls, which covered the demon shadow like scales, began to violently resist, trying to break free from the shadow's control. Many souls struggled to escape, appearing like scales ready to peel off. But the demon shadow, realizing what was happening, let out a thunderous roar, and the souls that were close to breaking free were instantly resubjugated. More and more souls began to struggle for their freedom. They knew that even if they escaped the shadow's control, they might not survive. But the humiliation of being enslaved by the demon clan was an unbearable disgrace. What powerful being would accept such a fate? The souls looked toward Xiao Yan, as if pleading for his help, unwilling to continue being enslaved by the demon clan. "It's time to end this." Xiao Yan stood up, brushing the dust off his hands. The Golden Dragon King, who was controlling Xiao Yan's body, had awakened the soul's reason and discontent, not only to weaken the demon shadow but also to prepare for their eventual absorption. The souls trapped within the massive demon shadow were fiercely resisting, looking as if they were about to peel away like scales. They knew that if they didn't resist now, they would be enslaved by the demon clan forever. These were once powerful beings of the Great Thousand World. How could they be willing to accept that? Xiao Yan observed the giant demon shadow in the sky, which was now struggling to maintain control, and raised his hand, pointing gently at its forehead. "Break!" A loud, clear voice rang out from Xiao Yan's mouth. A seemingly tiny beam of light shot toward the massive demon shadow in the sky. Though it appeared small, the beam was imbued with ancient and terrifying power. Boom, boom, boom. Several explosive sounds erupted from the top of the demon shadow's head. The demon shadow, which had been letting out evil roars moments before, was struck fatally by Xiao Yan's attack. With the formation core destroyed, the demon shadow was rendered motionless. Clearly, this demonic entity had been defeated. The giant demon shadow in the sky began to rot away, as countless souls poured out from its grotesque body. They all bowed to Xiao Yan, their eyes full of gratitude for being saved by him. "Whether we can capture them next depends on you," said the Golden Dragon King, and with that, his body returned to Xiao Yan's control. In the face of such a near-slaughter situation, Xiao Yan didn't bother to split his focus. He lowered his gaze at the enormous demonic shadow above. With a grasp of his hand, the eternal fire celestial scale appeared, and he struck fiercely at the demonic shadow. A massive fire flame, hundreds of yards long, shot out and cleaved through the shadow, revealing countless black chains entwined within it. At the ends of these chains hung numerous soul orbs. Seeing the thousands of soul entities, Xiao Yan couldn't help but twitch his eye. These demonic bastards, like the Soul Clan, were exploiting others' powerful souls to capture and devour as nourishment or use as energy sources for controlling corpses. It was utterly inhumane. Xiao Yan waved his hand lightly, and a terrifying gust of wind swept through, causing the chains sprawling across the massive demonic shadow to burst apart instantly. The souls, which had been like scales covering the shadow, slowly opened their eyes, weak and dazed, looking around. The recent fusion with the shadow had depleted their scant remaining strength. Feeling the chains of their souls breaking, the souls emitted waves of extreme joy. Although they didn't know exactly what had happened, they sensed a taste of freedom. For years, they had been imprisoned in a dark void, and sometimes even death had become a luxury. Everyone, leave. Don't let these demons catch you again, Xiao Yan said with a sigh as he looked at the souls, whose faces were wet with tears of joy. In the sky, countless souls gathered and eventually bowed deeply to Xiao Yan. None of them left, but instead stayed motionless, watching him silently. The souls understood that their soul origins had already been tainted by the demons. They would never return to normal outside, so it was better to offer their gratitude to the young man in front of them. Esteemed elders, our great thousand worlds is at odds with the extraterritorial evil clan. I hope you will assist me. I will do my utmost to protect the great thousand worlds. Xiao Yan, not one to miss an opportunity, deeply bowed and roared as he looked at the countless souls in the sky, who were silently communicating among themselves. The countless souls in the sky paused for a moment, quickly realizing that not only had this man saved them, but he also possessed a fire spirit, a rare celestial treasure. They responded with an overwhelming wave of sacrificial energy. With a plan in place, the thousands of souls before Xiao Yan merged into a single concentrated light sphere, which hovered in front of him. Xiao Yan frowned as he looked at the light sphere. From it, he felt an extremely terrifying soul fluctuation, pure and untainted by any impurities. This is the soul origin? Xiao Yan recalled capturing a similar sphere when he was in the Soul Clan of the Do-Chi continent, which had helped him reach the perfected heavenly realm and employ similar methods. After you get out, I'll show you something. It should be the secret treasure left by the black-clad person who killed the Mu family, came the voice of the Golden Dragon King from behind him. Xiao Yan turned around to see him floating down from the sky, searching in the large pit left by the black-clad figure. Soul origin? Xiao Yan murmured softly to himself. He now understood exactly what it was, and for the moment, he paid no mind to what the Golden Dragon King had mentioned. The soul is the essence of all living beings in the great thousand worlds. Every creature under the heavens possesses a soul, and deep within the soul lies a thread of soul origin. This is the foundation from which the soul is born, and it can be considered the purest and most mysterious energy in the universe. Rest assured, I will avenge you all. These simple words suddenly caused the soul light sphere to emit a faint glow, and within that glow, it seemed as though many messages were being transmitted. Xiao Yan silently accepted these messages. The soul light sphere contained the soul origins of countless powerful beings, but there was no consciousness within it. What remained were emotions like resentment and unwillingness, left behind before their final demise. These emotions would be difficult to completely refine, and absorbing them recklessly would undoubtedly affect one's mind. However, Xiao Yan's words had just the right effect, quietly dissolving these hidden negative emotions. This was a form of comfort, a final act of wisdom from these soul origins. They had all been mighty figures in life, and even in death, they wanted their last remnants of strength to make sure their killers wouldn't have it easy. Although it seemed simple to resolve, it was something that the demons would never say. The souls also knew that Xiao Yan had avenged them by killing their tormentors. Sit down cross-legged and carefully merge with our soul origins. How far you can go depends on your own fortune. The countless soul entities seemed to say to Xiao Yan. Thank you, elders. Xiao Yan responded gratefully, sitting down cross-legged and adjusting his state, preparing to absorb the purest soul energy. Xiao Yan sat on a flat piece of land, with the light sphere, about half a meter in size, gently hovering before him. Soft and pure light continuously radiated from it, illuminating the surrounding blades of grass, causing the previously withered grass to instantly become lush and green. The power of this soul origin is truly pure, but it must have been a bitter end for these elders. Xiao Yan muttered to himself. As he gazed at the soul light sphere, Xiao Yan exhaled softly and then reached out his hand to touch it. With this contact, Xiao Yan could feel the vast power of the soul origin spreading within the light sphere. That sensation was so comforting that even his imperial-class soul couldn't help but feel a profound warmth at the center of his brow. The imperial-class soul is divided into beginner mortal level, insight into the immortal realm, transcendence to the saintly realm, and perfected fourth tier. The Golden Dragon King explained slowly. The soul light sphere gently pulsed as Xiao Yan absorbed it, and a series of crisp, water-like sounds emanated from the crown of his head. Streams of exceptionally pure soul origin energy continuously poured into Xiao Yan's soul. Under this infusion, the small figure formed by Xiao Yan's soul above his head revealed a faint expression of contentment. Wrapped in the soul origins, Xiao Yan felt as if his soul was being immersed in a warm light, a sensation akin to a fetus being nurtured within the womb. Layer upon layer of faint, mysterious crystalline structures began to silently manifest on the surface of Xiao Yan's soul body. From a distance, they seemed almost like a tangible human figure, an incredibly wondrous sight. This was the power of an imperial-class soul. These faint crystalline layers acted as a protective shield against soul attacks, quietly enveloping his soul, the most fragile part of a person. Within the soul light sphere resided an unimaginably terrifying amount of soul origin power. This immense force had been condensed from the millions of souls captured by the man in black. Before such a vast amount of soul origin, even Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel a sense of insignificance. As Xiao Yan absorbed more and more of the soul origin, waves of invisible energy rippled outward from him. These waves spread slowly, turning the entire mountain peak within 1,000 meters radius utterly silent. A wave of formless pressure also began to expand, blanketing the area in an instant. Is the collection complete? Boom, boom, boom. As the soul origin light spheres of those elders gradually disappeared, merging entirely into Xiao Yan's body, the small, isolated space that the man in black had created began to tremble violently. Bang! With a loud noise, the alternate space started to fracture slowly. Xiao Yan had already awakened, exiting his cultivation state. The soul origin power he had just absorbed was now stored in his soul sea, following the advice of the Golden Dragon King. Xiao Yan knew well that absorbing soul origin to enhance his soul power would take considerable time. He needed to find a safe place, perhaps at the Yu family, to plan his next steps. Otherwise, at best, his soul could suffer severe damage. At worst, he could lose his life, making any gains not worth the risk. Thus, he temporarily stored the soul origin in his soul sea, intending to deal with it later. Seeing the crisis before him finally resolved, Xiao Yan couldn't help but take a deep breath. Looks like after handling the Yu family matters, I'll need to go into seclusion and cultivate properly. With this soul origin absorbed, I must also train in some Do techniques. Otherwise, I won't be able to survive on this continent, where strong experts are as numerous as clouds. It was no wonder he thought this way. His recent encounters had been with enemies far too powerful, and he had very few means to counter them. Having made up his mind, Xiao Yan stepped forward to awaken the two women using his soul power. Qing Yuan had clearly exhausted all her Do Qi, leaving her unconscious and unable to wake up for the time being. Yu Ru, on the other hand, had only suffered a minor soul shock and slowly regained consciousness with Xiao Yan's help. The moment she awoke, Yu Ru immediately noticed a large crater in the distance and hurriedly asked Xiao Yan, "That man in black? He should be the one rumored to have murdered the Mu family in Qingqing recently. But what about that monster he transformed into? How did you deal with it?" Faced with Yu Ru's barrage of questions, Xiao Yan felt a headache coming on. He couldn't exactly tell her that he had killed it himself. So, He resorted to a casual explanation. I don't know either. When you fainted, the monster's body convulsed and then exploded, but it is indeed dead. Yu wasn't entirely convinced by Xiao Yan's vague answer, but with the immediate crisis resolved, she chose not to press further. The most urgent matter now was to save her father. Bang! With a sudden sound, the small alternate space shattered instantly, returning them to the bustling scene of people coming and going on the main street. Yu led the way, with Xiao Yan carrying Qing Yuan close behind. Curiously, as Xiao Yan carried Qing Yuan, he noticed that the Do Qi and soul power in his body, which had been nearly depleted during the battle, were rapidly recovering. Li also reluctantly returned to the Na crystal, despite wanting to transform into a little girl and follow beside Xiao Yan. However, under Xiao Yan's stern gaze, she unhappily returned to the crystal, her face full of displeasure. Along the way, despite having just gone through a life-and-death ordeal, Yu maintained a calm demeanor as she led the way. She knew very well that her father didn't have much time left, and if they didn't hurry, the consequences would be unimaginable if anything happened to him. The dissenting factions within the family would undoubtedly seize the opportunity to act. Just before reaching the main street leading to the Yu family estate, Xiao Yan and Yu devised a plan. Once inside the estate, they would split up. Yu would take Qing Yuan to rest in a lounge before regrouping with Xiao Yan, who would head directly to their destination. With the plan in place, they slowly approached the imposing mansion in the distance. As they walked, Yu had informed Xiao Yan that the Yu family was currently not at peace. In other words, there were divisions within the family. Only a few trusted confidants knew about her father's severe injuries, so his treatment had to be conducted in secret. As they drew closer to the grand estate, Xiao Yan was surprised to see a crowd gathered at the entrance. These people were all dressed in alchemist robes, with a few strands of brilliant silver embroidery on their chests, proudly indicating their rank and status. Those are just some juniors from our family. They're nothing compared to you, Yu remarked as she noticed the alchemists at the entrance. On the bustling street, every passerby who walked by couldn't help but cast envious and reverent glances at the group of alchemists, who were whispering among themselves. In their eyes, alchemists were a noble profession, almost akin to nobility itself. Follow me. Yu led Xiao Yan and the others through a small side path into the Yu family estate. Xiao Yan understood that Yu was clearly trying to avoid the eyes and ears of the family's dissenting factions, who had likely placed spies within the estate. You've returned, Mississippi. As soon as they entered the main gate, a pretty maid hurriedly approached and softly whispered a few words to Yu. Yu then took Qing Yuan and separated from Xiao Yan, with the maid leading the way. Following the maid at a leisurely pace, Xiao Yan's gaze swept across the luxurious estate. The towering and grand buildings made him nod in silent approval. Whatever else could be said, the Yu family was indeed worthy of being one of the three great families of Qingqing. Such wealth and power were beyond the reach of ordinary people. As he walked along a path paved with green stones, Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly narrowed slightly. As they ventured deeper into the Yu family's domain, his soul sense detected powerful and hidden auras concealed in various corners. Casually glancing up, his eyes swept over the eaves of a building where some dark shadows were lurking in the gloom. Arrowheads, painted black to hide their sharp reflections in the sunlight, moved silently through the estate, poised to strike at the slightest disturbance. The defenses are indeed tight. Xiao Yan furrowed his brow and shook his head slightly, his gaze fixed on a luxurious hall at the end of the path. Through the slightly ajar door, he could faintly see someone standing inside. Father! Yu hurriedly rejoined Xiao Yan after settling Qing Yuan, dismissing the maid, leaving only herself, Xiao Yan, and a middle-aged man Yu referred to as father in an old-fashioned room. You've returned, Yue? The middle-aged man's voice was filled with paternal affection. Father. This time I've brought someone who can heal you. Yu quickly pushed Xiao Yan forward. Xiao Yan could tell that Yu cared deeply for her father. My illness won't be cured so easily. There's no need for you to go to so much trouble, the middle-aged man demurred, though his eyes were filled with gratitude. He was touched by his daughter's constant efforts to find someone to treat him, even though none had succeeded so far. This young friend, I am Yue Yu. Since you've come to our Yu family, I would appreciate it if you could take a look at my condition, the middle-aged man, Yue Yu, said as he carefully observed Xiao Yan, whom his daughter had brought back. However, he found that this young man wasn't as simple as he appeared. Even with his own considerable strength, he couldn't quite see through him. As Xiao Yan looked at the slightly pale and unwell-looking middle-aged man before him, he silently mused to himself, a 5-star Do-di? No wonder he's the head of the family. He then stepped forward, and in an instant, Xiao Yi, the fire spirit, was summoned, ready to examine the ailment that Yue Yu claimed only a fire spirit could cure. The moment the fire spirit Xiao Yi was summoned, the previously mild temperature in the room suddenly rose significantly. Yue Yu, whose expression had been calm and indifferent, abruptly widened his eyes in shock and exclaimed, "It's actually a fire spirit?"